as much as we are here to honor Jesus with our lives, and as much as Mother's Day is a made-up holiday designed to sell business cards, greeting cards, just mother, here's my card, mother. We do want to honor moms, even though if you are a mom and you are married to somebody, that should be happening on a regular basis. It shouldn't have to be a day for that. However, we're going to bow down to it and do it. I'm just kidding. No, we're going to have fun with it. So we usually have these little contests for Mother's Day, and before we do that, I just want to say we have flowers available for all the ladies. All the ladies in the house say, ow. Amy, did you do it? Did you say it? No? Okay. So we want you to take a flower today and just, because girls like flowers, right? That's a thing? Okay, good. So take a flower today and enjoy that. I want to have a quick little contest to see if we can honor some moms with some cool mugs. These are actually the size coffee that you need in the morning to start your day as a mom. So, 3 quick little things. All right, is there a mom in the room that has mismatched socks on right now? No socks doesn't count. Unless you had one on one foot and nothing on the other, then that would count. Moms, you got your socks together? I can't remember the last time my family left the house where everybody had matching socks on.
It's not sock weather.
It's not sock weather.
That's true.
Okay. All right, I'll do it every morning. All right, let's see. The mom with the oldest kid living at home. The mom with the oldest kid living at home. Okay. All right, Julie, how's your oldest?
22.
22.
24.
24.
26.
Paul is 26. All right, Sue, come on up. Okay, let's do this one. A mom with the youngest kid at home. Mom with the youngest kid at home. Who's got the baby? She's out of town, so she doesn't know. Who's got the babyest baby in this room? Let's go 1 year. Anybody less than 1 year?
She's 17 months.
17 months. Who's less than 17 months? I know a 14-month-old baby here. Anybody?
Any parents here?
He just drove here earlier.
14 months in the back.
14 months is the winner, right?
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. Happy Mother's Day to you. This one says, Mama needs some coffee. And one of the things that I see that happens sometimes is there'll be a really weird thing in a mom's purse, and a mom will go, what happened here? What is this thing? So, moms, get your purses out. I want to see the weirdest thing in your purse. The weirdest thing in your purse. And I am the judge of that. What is that?
Nerium eye serum.
Nerium eye serum? That's the, okay. I'm looking for like a rotten banana.
Right here.
What is it?
It's half of a cinnamon stick.
Half of a cinnamon stick. All right. Anybody else? Weird items? What did you say, Julie?
Tylenol.
No, that's normal. A rock. A rock? All right, Chris and I are going to confer. It's definitely the rock, right? All right, Mary, you win. Congratulations.
Hello, hi. All right. So one of the prizes you get when you go on vacation for 2 weeks is you get to do announcements. So here I am. We have a toy drive going on. You've probably seen that blasted out on Facebook. Thank you to those of you who have already sent toys. They're already in the classrooms and they're looking really nice. But we're still going to run that through May 21st, so that's next weekend, correct? Jet lag, sorry. 28th, we're going to keep it going the whole month of May. So you can ship toys to the church, or bring them in, ship it to yourself and bring it in. There's a registry on Amazon with the words up here, Liverpool, last name Christian Church, makes sense, and a list of things that go from $5 to $70 or so. So you can check that out. If you have a little extra in your budget this week, that would be awesome. Our kids would really appreciate the facelift of their toys in the playrooms. We have 3 rooms downstairs and 1 upstairs, so that's quite significant. I think TVs are on that list too for upstairs. So check that out. Also, if you're interested in learning how to do the media or run the sound booth over here, we're having a training this Thursday. We invite you to come check that out. If it ends up not being a fit, that's fine, but you can come check it out this Thursday, 6 o'clock right here in this room. And also, if you're new with us or you have any information that you would like to share, any prayer requests, or you need a pastor or elder to call you about something that's going on in your life, we utilize the Connect cards at the ends of your rows for those things. So you can fill those out and put them in the baskets as you leave today, along with any gifts or tithes that you have. Along with, you could use Tithely online too if you'd like to do online giving, just like online banking. You can hook that up, and you can even set it up to be a recurring payment. So thank you all for supporting the church. I'm going to bring up Sarah now to tell us about an event that's going on that she is in charge of. So here you go.
Well, I'm just the contact person. Is this on?
It's on. Keep talking.
Okay. So to follow up with the toy drive information, on the 28th, so 2 weeks from today, we are having a spring cleaning event. This is probably the first time you're hearing of it, unless you're using your app on YouVersion. It's on like the online bulletin. But with all these new toys that we're getting, we need to do a little bit of weeding through the old toys and a little bit of freshening up what we have going on in the children's ministry rooms. So we are looking for volunteers to stay after second service 2 weeks from today to help us clean old toys that we still want to keep, that are still working, but help clean them up, put new batteries in. We have some like paint that we need touched up. The TVs that are on the registry, if we do receive those, we need those mounted, I believe, upstairs and downstairs, so anybody that can help with that. There's a sign-up sheet in the lobby, but my email is also on the online bulletin, so if you have questions, feel free to email me. It's pretty simple. The more people we get, hopefully the quicker this can go, and we can get in and get out and just make the rooms really awesome for the kids, and they can enjoy all their new toys and the old toys that still work. Just clean them up and make it nice. So I think that's it, right?
Yeah.
Thanks. Now back to the room.
Bibles to 1 John, and if you're going to use one of the row Bibles in the seat pocket in front of you, it's going to be page 986. And if you are using the YouVersion Bible app, we got super creative with the name this week, and it says Reality Check Week 2. So that's my fault, because I wasn't creative this week. So Reality Check Week 2, and we are doing this series 1 John, and we're going to do 1 John 2, 3 through 11 today. And I'm really, really excited about this series because I think that what happens sometimes in churches and with people is that we want to make everybody happy all the time, and we want to like, hey, let's just go ahead and make this fluffy so that everybody loves it and everybody's happy when they leave. But to me, that's kind of doing a disservice to you, because there are really, really hard and honest things in the Bible. And if we don't ever look at and discuss these really, really hard and honest things, we might go throughout our whole entire life without ever realizing our sin. And if we don't realize our sin, then we will not realize our need for Jesus. And so this is why we want to stick to this. This is why I want to do verse-by-verse study of the Bible, because I think it creates an honest conversation between us and God at the same exact time. So this week's message is actually called Your Move, Holy Man. So, anybody know that? What the context of that is? Okay, you'll see. All right, so let's read 1 John chapter 2, verses 3 through 11. Everybody there? All right, here we go. It says, we know that we have come to know him if we keep his commands. Whoever says, I know him, but does not do what he commands is a what? Liar. A liar. And the truth is not in that person. But if anyone obeys his word, love for God is truly made complete in them. This is how we know we are in him. Whoever claims to live in him must live how? As Jesus did. Dear friends, I am not writing you a new command, but an old one, which you have had since the beginning. This old command is the message you have heard. Yet I am writing you a new command. Its truth is seen in him and in you, because the darkness is passing and the true light is already shining. Let me just stop and tell you about those two verses, 7 and 8. He's not saying, he is saying, I'm not writing you a new command, yet I am writing you a new command, because he's reminding them, like, I've told you this a million times, or you've heard this a million times, and you haven't paid attention to it, you haven't applied it to your life, you haven't learned this, so I'm telling it to you again like it's a new command. Verse 9, anyone who claims to be in the light but hates a brother or sister is still in the darkness. Anyone who loves their brother and sister lives in the light, and there is nothing in them to make them stumble. But if anyone who hates a brother or sister is in the darkness and walks around in the darkness, they do not know where they are going, because the darkness has blinded them. We did start this series last week, Reality Check, and the whole idea is for us to discover and wake up to the realities of walking with Jesus. Our relationship to Jesus should be thought of as an are or are not sort of thing. It's a lot like pregnancy. You're not a little bit pregnant. You either are pregnant or you are not pregnant. And walking with Jesus is the exact same thing. It's not something that we can do part-time or halfway. The person who walks with Jesus is marked by obedience. And so we need to ask ourselves, is my life marked by obedience to Jesus? And that's a question that you have to answer for yourself. No one can answer that question for you. But when you honestly evaluate your life, when you honestly evaluate yourself and consider how you live, it's a good question. Is my life marked by obedience to Jesus? And plainly, if it's not, then we should not consider ourselves to be Christian, but rather we should consider ourselves to still be lost. Because if we claim we know Jesus and our life is not marked by obedience, we are not living in truth. Walking with Jesus, being his disciple, being a follower of Jesus is a life-encompassing endeavor that requires every part of who you are. Now, I understand that we're not going to be perfect in this area. We're not going to always get it right, and this is why we need the continual forgiveness, the continual blood of Jesus to wash us and present us as pure before God. And so I know that we're not going to do that, but what we should be doing, where we should be as people who say yes to Jesus, is moving toward full and complete obedience to Jesus. So we've been doing this kind of like this. We've been talking about what are the reality checks from this passage. And so the first reality check that I want to give you is this. Knowing Jesus means keeping his commands. Knowing Jesus means keeping his commands. Verse 3, he says, we know that we have come to know him if we keep his commands. Now, if we are not keeping his commands, then we probably don't. I don't know, I'd say probably, that's weak. If we are not keeping his commands, then the Bible tells us we do not actually know Jesus. We know that we have come to know him if we keep his commands. Verse 4, whoever says, I know him, but does not do what he commands, is a liar, and the truth is not in that person. This words, know him, this is written in the present tense, and this means that we are continually, habitually abiding and living in Jesus. It's not a once-in-a-while thing, but that our regular habit, our regular practice is that we are obedient to Jesus. Now, there's going to be times where you trip and fall. There's going to be times where you sin and do stupid stuff. But our regular practice, our regular knowing of him would be the obedience to his commands. Knowing Jesus means keeping his commands. And all of these words here give us the idea of present tense. Knowing him, living in him, abiding in him, keeping. He says we must keep his commands. That's the continual, regular, normal practice. It's something that's our lifestyle. It becomes reflexive in us, that we don't even have to think about what we're doing. We just are automatically, continually, habitually keeping his commands. And we must, as the passage says, live out this faith that we say we have. And if we say we have this faith and we don't live it out, John calls us liars. That's not minced language at all, right? There's nothing mixed or diluted about that. If we say we believe in Jesus and we are not keeping his commands, we are flat out liars. Not lying, which is like something that you might do once in a while. But if we are living out, if we're saying we believe in him, we're not living out his commands, then our life is not marked by obedience, but it's marked by our lies. Welcome to church, right? Happy Mother's Day, right? I know that's a tough passage. That's a hard one to hear, but it's the truth, and I would rather us know the truth. I would rather us know the truth about this than to think that we're just going to be okay doing whatever we want to do. Knowing Jesus means keeping, abiding, living in his commands. Knowing information about Jesus is not obedience. I know all these things, all these facts, all these figures about Jesus. That means nothing if we don't know him by keeping his commands, by being obedient to his commands. If we say that we know Jesus, then our lives must actually reflect that. It just has to be that way. So why is this a reality check? Well, for many, there's this idea that if I do just enough to get by, I'll be okay. If I do just enough to get by, I'll be okay. If I do just enough to appease these little requirements, I'll be okay. But Jesus isn't concerned about us keeping the requirements and not knowing him, not doing this from our heart. That's religion. All right? That's what religion is. Religion is the checklist. I did this, I did this, I did this, I did this, and now I'm okay, right? No, but if we're keeping Jesus' commands, it means that our heart is automatically involved in that. It's not just the bare minimum. Doing this makes me think of vacuuming, right? You know how you vacuum sometimes, like somebody calls you, hey, we're thinking about stopping by, and you're like, oh, it's great, it's awesome, everything is wonderful over here. And you hang up I don't know why I did that, because who talks with that? But then as soon as you get off the phone, you pull the vacuum out, it's like, you know, you're trying to put a lot, like you live like that all the time, right? And did you vacuum? Yes. But you set a land speed record at the same time. So did you really vacuum? I don't know. Yeah, yes, sort of no. And this is what I mean. We're not trying to appease these requirements of Jesus just so we can check them off. We're giving our whole selves to him, to know him, to live in him, to abide in him, so that we have this full, complete, mature relationship with him. Reality check number 2. Obedience equals love. Look at verse 5. But if anyone obeys his word, love for God is truly made what? Complete. Complete is mature. Complete is full. Complete is proven. Right? It's all together. All the pieces have combined to make the thing. If anyone obeys his words, love for God is truly made complete, mature, full, proven in them. And this is how we know we are in him. Whoever claims to live in him must live as Jesus did. Our love, our faith in Jesus is not marked by what we say. Our love and our faith in Jesus is marked by what we say and by what we do. Believing and doing. Biblical faith is believing and doing, right? Otherwise, your faith, our faith, is incomplete. If I say I believe in Jesus and I don't act on that faith, it's incomplete. If I do a bunch of Jesus-y things, I gave somebody some stuff, but I don't have the faith that matches it, it's also incomplete. Biblical faith is believing and doing. It's saying, yes, I believe in Jesus, and it's allowing my life, not allowing, it's making my life line up with that. Saying that I believe in Jesus and acting on that belief, that's complete faith. That's mature faith. That's proven faith. And God's love was shown for us in this. Because we had a problem of sin. And they recognized, God and Jesus, they recognized that. They said, these people have a problem of sin. They can't be in my presence because they are unholy. They have a problem of sin. Sucks to be them. Or did it go the other way? Where we have a problem, we have sin as a problem, and Jesus came to take care of that problem. See, not only did he recognize that we had an issue, but he acted to take care of that issue. Jesus was not merely concerned about us, but he acted on his concern. I get somewhat frustrated with the fake concern that is put out by some Christian people over hurts that people are dealing with. Well, I'll pray for you. And I would just say this. If you ever tell somebody that you'll pray for them, then actually do it. Just do it. Because saying I'll pray for you and not bringing that to the feet of the Father is about as worthless as anything I can think of. Telling somebody's problem to somebody else under the guise of prayer is another issue. Y'all hear about Diane? I'm telling you, we need to pray for Diane. She's something messed up. You know what I mean? And so this whole thing of believing and doing is extremely important for us as people who are going to say that we follow Jesus. We believe in Jesus and we do something about it. We don't just act concerned, but we act on our concerns. And we need to mirror the life of Jesus. For us, the Bible tells us that we are made in the image of God, and so we should be making every effort to live out that image. So why is this a reality check? Obedience equals love. Why is that a reality check? Well, we cannot just say we love Jesus. Our actions toward full, complete, mature obedience must follow. And why do I say toward? Because you have to grow in that. You have to grow in that. Nobody's going to wake up one day and be fully committed, devoted, perfect followers of Jesus. It's not going to happen. And so our actions are toward that. Listen, this is the reality of walking with Jesus. Obedience. If we say that we know him, if we say that we love him, obedience is the proof. Reality check number 3. Hate is never justified. Hate is never justified. Look at these passages. Verse 9. Anyone who claims to be in the light but hates a brother or sister is still in the darkness. We learned that darkness is a metaphor for sin. Light is a metaphor for Jesus. So anyone who claims to be in the light, claims to be in Jesus, but hates his brother or sister is still in sin, still in darkness. Anyone who loves their brother and sister lives in the light, and there is nothing in them to make them stumble. But anyone who hates a brother or sister is in the darkness and walks around in the darkness. They do not know where they are going because the darkness has what? Blinded them. Blinded them. Hating a brother or sister leaves us in the dark. It leaves us in sin. Hate leaves you in sin. But here's the thing about it. Hate does nothing to the other person, but only eats you up on the inside. Only crushes your spirit on the inside. Only destroys you on the inside. Only leaves you in sin. And it doesn't hurt the people that it's supposed to be directed toward. So I wanted to think about what defining this hate. What does it mean to hate a brother or sister? Obviously, Webster, he says hate is intense dislike for someone. Intense dislike for someone. But as I read this passage and as I studied for this passage, I came to this definition of indifference toward. Hate is indifference toward someone else. Because you might not actively, venomously despise and maliciously hate someone, but you might be indifferent to some people. You might not care about some people. And I would say not caring, being indifferent toward, that's about as much of a definition of hate as I can think of. Intense dislike, indifference toward, continual malice against someone. Listen, it's easy to hate those who've hurt you. It's easy to hate people who differ from you in opinion or who live differently or act differently. It's easy to do that, but it's ungodly to do that at the same time. We use this definition for love, thinking the best and doing the best to the point of self-sacrifice. And if we take that and transfer it to a definition for hate, thinking the worst and doing the worst to the point of self-indulgence. I'm going to indulge these negative, hateful feelings in myself so that I can direct them towards somebody who's not going to be affected by them anyway. And meanwhile, I'm going to eat myself alive and I'm not even going to know it. See, the challenge here is to see everyone, even those that you hate or potentially hate, as children of God and as someone whom Jesus died for. So why is this a reality check? You may have thought that you were justified in hating this or that person for what they did or did not do. But the reality is that if we walk with Jesus and we obey his commands, we keep his commands, we are to love one another. To think the best and do the best to the point of self-sacrifice. Maybe even to the point where you are justified in how you feel, but you sacrifice that for the good of someone else. You're going to talk about a tough day. Realizing that you're the right one, you're the one that's right, but sacrificing that for the good of someone else. So, 3 reality checks. What do we do as a result of these reality checks? I want to give you guys 3 quick things to do as a result of these reality checks. The first one is this. Look for ways to love God. Look for ways to love God. Look, and we said obedience equals love, right? Obedience equals love. So what we're saying is look for ways to be obedient to God. Look for ways to love God by being obedient. Rather than trying to escape his commands or subvert them or do the minimum, we should look for ways to accept what he says and then carry out those commands. Find ways to pour yourself into his commands rather than minimizing them. This happens with the money thing all the time, right? The Bible tells us tithing, right? In the Old Testament, we learn about tithing. In the New Testament, we say give sacrificially. And then, inevitably, the person who loves their money so much that they can't do it their whole life without it will say something like, well, that's an Old Testament thing, and Jesus never used the word tithe, and blah, blah. You know, they'll do all this stuff, and they'll minimize the thing. What is that thing for you? What is that area for you? That you know the Bible is calling you to do something. That you know Jesus is calling you to do something. And you go, maybe not that much. You got to think about that. Because obedience equals love. If we say we love Jesus, then we're looking for ways to love him by being obedient. Finding ways to live in him, to abide in him, to turn it into a continual, habitual thing. Nobody ever started smoking 2 packs a day. Right? Started with the first one that you almost threw up. And then your friend was like, oh, you're a wuss, you should do it again, you know, and try it again. And then this habit develops. It takes time, right? Every single habit takes time to develop, even good ones. Probably especially good ones. And so for us, moving toward full obedience to Jesus, I think it takes habitual, regular steps in that direction until we can have full, mature obedience to Jesus. And so we need to look for ways to love God by obeying his commands. Secondly, we need to look for ways to love others. Look for ways to love others. Rather than looking for ways out of loving people, we should be looking for ways to share, show, and live the love of Jesus. Share, show, and live the love of Jesus that he freely gives us. He freely gives that to us. And so as people who are going to say yes to Jesus, to be obedient to his commands, to abide in him, to live continually in him, we should be looking for ways to love others. Not hate them, not be indifferent toward them. We should be diving in and doing life with them. And lastly, look for ways to serve the world. And this is what I want us to do here. At least be open to the possibility of serving someone else. And if you're open to the possibility of that, Jesus will give you the chance, Jesus will give you the opportunity to do that. I'll tell you one really quick one. So I will pray from time to time, God, put someone in my way. Put someone in my way. That's how I say, I'm ready. I'm ready to serve. And I remember one time when we lived in Richmond, Virginia, praying, God, put somebody in my way. I prayed for a couple of days and nothing was really going on. And about 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, there was a knock on our door. And it was a wife weeping and a husband trembling in fear behind her that she had just found all kinds of stuff on the computer, crazy stuff on his computer. And I was like, that is not what I meant. That's not what I was talking about. And so I thought, I'm not equipped for this, I'm not ready for this. And I wasn't. Truthfully, I wasn't equipped counseling-wise, intelligence-wise, or anything like that, but I knew people who were. And that happened because I was available. And so for us, when we're looking for ways to serve the world and we're saying things to Jesus like, put someone in my way, you better believe that he'll give that to you. You better believe that he'll do that. And you might be underqualified for it, but you might be the person who knows the person who is qualified for it. Okay? But we're looking for ways to share, show, and live his love. And this can happen in a billion different ways. You can do a billion different things to share, show, and live the love of Jesus. How about holding the door for somebody who's struggling? Or jumping someone's car, not like a stunt, but the cables, jumping someone's car in the parking lot, or paying for someone's coffee. You could do that whenever you want. I mean, I'll give you a chance to serve Jesus. Right? Cutting someone's lawn for them. Be aware of that when you go around your neighborhood. Because there are people, if you live in a decent neighborhood, you might think, oh, everybody's got it all together and they all know how to do everything. But be aware of someone's lawn. If it's this tall, they haven't cut it yet this year. And I don't know why they haven't done that, but maybe you could go do it. Maybe they're laid up in bed. Maybe they can't do it. I don't know. But just knock on the door. Hey, can I cut your grass for you? Oh, it's not going to be anything. You don't have to pay me anything. I just want to do it for you. How awesome would that be if you found a person who was totally unable to help themselves and you did that? And here's the great thing about God and Christianity and Jesus and all this. You go out and selflessly do something like that for someone else, they will receive a blessing from that, but your blessing will be 100 times greater than that. And that might be conservative. So, look for ways to serve the world. Look for ways to love God, to be obedient to him. Look for ways to love others, to dive in and do life with people and not hate them. And look for ways to serve the world. See, that's what I think we should be doing as a church, as people who are saying yes to Jesus. See, these are some really big challenges today. I know, and it's not, I don't like fluffy stuff all the time, you know what I mean? I'm not really into that. And so this passage is the antithesis of fluffy, right? It's like probably the 80 grit sandpaper of the Bible, you know what I mean? And I know it's tough, but I would rather know. I would rather know so that I know what to do than to not know and find out that I'm wrong later. That's me. And I hope that you guys would be on the same page with that. And I know it's tough, but my hope is that each of us will be encouraged to live more and more closely to Jesus as we move toward the habit of full, mature, and complete obedience. That we would be encouraged in this. It's something that you can all do. There's nothing in this Bible that we are commanded to do that we are unable to do. That's a pretty reassuring thought, I think. And so I would say be encouraged to live more and more closely to Jesus and continually move toward full, complete, mature obedience. Make it your habit, work it in, and see if you can get it done. All right? Let's do it, church. Let's pray. Father God, thank you for everything that you are. You are great, you are mighty, you are holy. We thank you for these words today. Truly words to live by, to be obedient, to be growing closer to you, to be coming close to you. Thank you for these words. And thank you, that for many of us in this room, it was a mom who first told us this stuff. Thank you for that. In the name of Jesus we pray. Amen.